So you're in n8n, you're trying to connect to some app, but you just put a node in the canvas and then it just turns red. And when you open it up, you see that thing that just staring you in the face. Set up the credential. Oof. What the hell are credentials anyway? That's probably what you're asking yourself, and that's probably why you're here right now. I'm going to be teaching you how to think about credentials, how to go about setting them up if you've never set them up before, and basically just how to use documentation to your advantage. I know when you hear the word documentation, you might be going like, "Oh, it sounds annoying," but trust me, it doesn't get any easier than this, and it does this very, very simply. By the way, for context, the name is Muzi. I am the Grand Alchemist of the Guild. If you know, you know. If you don't know, there's still time for you to find out. Basically, my mission is to help 1,000 people make their first 1,000 online through AI and automation, and just teaching people everything that I hope to learn from others while I was starting my journey. That's why I'm here and that's why you're here. And so let me stop yapping and let me just start going through these concepts. So credentials are the key to seamless workflows. When I say key, I literally mean key. You cannot connect to any secure apps without credentials. Most apps are secure, right? Because they want to protect your data. So if it's a secure app, you need to connect to it through a credential. You'll soon be finding out how that works. Basically, let's just start reading more into this. So credentials are how you connect your workflows to outside apps. Basically, if you want to fetch data from a Google Sheet, you have to have a Google credential, right? If you use your own Google credential, then you can fetch data from your own Google Sheets. If you use other people's Google credential, then you can fetch data from their Google Sheets. Um, if you have access to their Google credentials through your own Google Sheet, then you can do that as well. So everything is about authorization. Everything is about security, right? It's just secure ways of getting data, posting data, and updating data across platforms. And there are all types of credentials, right? There's API keys, there's OAuth 2, there's basic auth, there's header auth, there's query auth. Um, I'm not going to tell you to learn all of them. I'm just going to tell you to understand that they exist and read the documentation, which is why my focus today is basically just on teaching you how to use documentation to your advantage. So now let's think about credential setups. That's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, don't even like consider this. We're just going to be setting up a credential very, very simply. This is what we're going to be doing. So let's just do that. Here I have 6 nodes, right? You might notice only one of them is gray, and that's because only one of them has the correct credential. I need to set up credentials for the other ones. I'm going to try to speed run through this in a way that like I would do it, and it might be a bit slow. So if you don't like slow videos, then you can just nod off or like just leave it running, or maybe summarize the content of the video through a copilot or something. AI is very powerful these days. You can do that. But basically, here's my process. Whenever I have a new node and I need to set up a credential for it, so say hypothetically this didn't have a credential, so this was red, right? I would go in here and I would say create new credential. Like even before I put in any data, any information, I would just tell it to create a new credential. It gives me these two options, or it could give you any type of option, right? These options that it's using is probably the information, like it's probably the type of authentication that you can actually set up. There's all sorts of other options here, like for sharing. And here you can, so if you're sort of collaborating with other people, then you can share credentials with them, which is very powerful, like no matter how I think about it. And then there's details on these, but it seems that there's nothing in there for the details, so that's fine. One thing you're doing, you want to read the documentation, right? So after sort of scanning through this, the first thing I would do is I would just open up the docs page just to read the documentation. So it goes Airtable credentials, which is exactly what I want to set up. So I can use the credentials to authenticate the following nodes, Airtable and Airtable triggers. I'm authenticating an Airtable node right now, so I'm in the right place. The prerequisite is to create an Airtable account, which is something I already have. If you don't have that, you can just click on it and it'll take you to the homepage of Airtable to set that up. Let me just click it right now. And yeah, it'll take you straight to airtable.com to set up your credentials. So let's keep reading. So there are two supported methods. Of course, it's PAT, so it's personal authentication tokens, and OAuth 2. PAT is very simple. It's just one simple access token. But OAuth 2 is really annoying because you have a client ID and a client secret. But just because it's annoying also means that it's also much, much more secure than just PAT. PAT is very simple, but it's very insecure. So, like as you can imagine. Let's go back. So there's other related documentation which you can read, Airtable's API documentation for more information. But this is how you start setting up. So they'll cover both methods. So here they're covering PAT. I'm also going to be covering PAT because I think it's very simple to get set up and it's very easy to like get going very quickly. You're going to go to the Airtable Builder Hub for the personal access tokens page, and you're going to create a new token, and then you're going to enter the name of the token, then you're going to add the scopes for the token, and then you're going to select the access for your token, meaning that what bases it has access to, and then you're going to create the token. Let's do that. So here we already logged in, as you can tell. If you didn't log in, you have to create an account. This is a free account, but we're going to have to find the Builder Hub. Um, and you might be saying, why the hell is everything so zoomed out? Let's zoom in. Okay, now it looks much better. Um, oh my god. Okay, I'll put in 125 for you. I'm going to click on here and I'm going to go to the Builder Hub. So the Builder Hub is the place that has all the tokens. You can set up integrations, you can set up all sorts of things, apps, components. You want to come here to the developer section for Pat. And again, if you were setting up OAuth, you would set it up over here, but we're just going to use personal access tokens. And then it's going to load the page here so we can create a new pat. I'm going to create a new token here, just as they said in the documentation. I'm going to name the token. So I'm just going to say um, just a demo pat, I guess. And this is camel case because um, yeah, I was about to drop a joke about humps, but I feel like that would go over. Okay, never mind. So, okay, I'm just gonna add a bunch of scopes here, and then I'm going to add a base. So this is any base that already exists in my table. It'll also show you bases that have been shared with you, which is very interesting. So here I'm just going to add this base just to keep it here. Again, this is all editable, so you can edit the bases, you can edit the scopes. The scopes is basically how much access you can have. So if you have this scope, then you're able to see the data in the records. If you have this scope, then you're able to create, edit, and delete records, which is very useful if you're doing anything in an Airtable base, right? You want to have access to the data inside it. We're going to create this token, right? Because we already set up the access, we already set up the scopes, and we already put the name in here. So that's exactly what the documentation told us to do. So we're going to create this token, and it's going to give us this pat over here. We're going to copy this. Like it's only going to be shown once. We'll copy it now and store it in a safe, secure location. We're going to copy this, and we're going to click done. Um, Again, I'm just going to copy it. So now it exists over here and we can use it when we're setting things up. And we come back here and we paste it over here. And then we'll save this. Now we have a credential. It tests the connection is successful. Boom. That's just how to create a simple pat. And now we can do things in our base. We don't have to save that, right? It's not secure enough, but if it might be useful to save it. So I guess not now. You can come here and then it'll search for the bases that you actually have access to. And you might remember this is the only base we gave access to this path. So now when we click on test step, it's just gonna give us that information over here. Something useful to do is to rename these um, with more context. So you can rename this to demo just so that you know you're either using like the demo token or the main token. Um, so, because right now I have two tokens over here. I want to know which token I'm using at any moment in time, just so that I know how much access I have. And you might be setting up like multiple tokens for the same service, just as I showed you, in case you want to limit access to certain bases or you want to limit um, access to certain scopes. So yeah, very important to understand, and that's just basically how to set up the Airtable pad. Very easy, very powerful, and again, everything is about documentation. So let's get rid of that, and then we'll come here to the Calendly. Now I haven't set up Calendly yet. That's why it's glowing red like that. But we're going to set it up right now, and you're going to see me go through this because yeah, I still haven't done it. But again, documentation is everything. I love reading documentation. So there's OAuth 2, which is recommended for this. Very interesting. And then there's also API key or personal access token. Again, personal access token is not very secure. OAuth 2 is recommended because of the security. Let's just open the docs. And again, there are options for sharing in details. Yeah, okay, we don't need to look at those right now. Let's just open the docs and then start reading through them. So you can use these credentials to authenticate the following nodes. Calendar trigger. Okay, pretty good. I'm guessing it activates a workflow based on anything that might happen. So if you have some kind of event that's happening, it'll activate that node, which is very, very cool. Maybe if someone books on your Calendly page, you can just like do things. Maybe you can add them to your lead list or something. Very useful to have because like I'm using Calendly for bookings, so it's very useful for me, and I feel like this might be useful for other people as well. So here they tell you to refer to Calendly's API documentation. This is very useful, like information to know, because we might be going back there very soon. So to configure this credential in your Calendly account, we already have that. And we're setting up the API access token because, as I said, it's very simple. OAuth 2 is a bit annoying, but it's also um, relatively simple, I guess. We'll go to Calendly integration and apps page. So let's just click on this. It's very nice that they have these sort of links. If there's one thing I'm wondering, sometimes the integrations that you have are based on the accounts that you set up. So this is a free Calendly account. I'm not sure if it allows me to sort of have things, to sort of have like integrations like tokens and such. But if it does allow me, then it would be very interesting to see, how I get that done. So there are a bunch of integrations apparently, and it's telling us we can take our scheduling and automation to the next level. It's really nice that they have a chatbot here. Like this is probably getting automated in the back end. It's really cool when because when you start understanding these things and like how to build them, you start realizing just how simple this is. Like it looks so complex, but like you could click on this and start chatting with it, but it's actually very, very simple. um, Calendly chatbot. Yeah, thank you, Calendly. um, so here we're supposed to be seeing some kind of integration. Let's go back to the documentation. Select API and webhooks. Okay, where is API and webhooks? It doesn't seem to exist. We can try searching API. Our API and webhooks actually exist. Okay, we found it. We can get a token now, or we can build a public application. Okay, so I'm guessing OAuth is very useful if you want to build an application that not only you use, but other people can use to connect to Calendly. Think about if you're building some kind of service that you want people, so like if people can set up Calendly events or set up Calendly meetings through your service, that's very useful. So yeah, personal access token is just for personal access, like it literally says in the name. For our applications, we'll just get a token now. Before you begin, please aware that personal access token you create as an admin will grant access to Calendly data for everyone in your organization. I'm glad that they're saying this to me. Luckily, I'm just a one-person organization, so I guess I can continue. I can choose a name for this. I'll call it n8n token, and then I'll just create the token. I don't know what scopes they're giving us for this token, but I'll create the token here. We've sent a verification code to your email. Okay, let me set that up over here in my phone. I'll just look through my emails right now. So come here to Gmail. And I'm seeing updates for China AI newsletter. Oh, it just came in. Okay, Calendly, your Calendly verification code, your authentication code is 464943. Okay, let's go ahead and type that in. 464943. I think the easiest way to like remember numbers is to create rhythms in your head. Um, Copy your token and connect it to your application right away. You won't be able to access it again. We're going to copy this token. I'm glad they're not showing it to us because I would have doxed myself. Like I would have had to delete the token afterwards. But yeah, like very interesting. I like this kind of flow. I copied the token, so now I can close this, and it's going to show me this n8n token, and I can set things up over here. I'll just come over here to API and personal access tokens, and I'll just paste that in and save, and it's going to test the connection. Connection tested successfully, so brilliant. That's just how simple it is. And again, I can save this. I think it's very useful for me to save it actually. When I save these I'm just going to save it as Calendly Pat. So Calendly Pat, and then it's going to save. So yeah, very useful. And again, I can set the scope here. I'm probably a user, and I can do all types of events. So event created, event cancelled. Very useful.